great day to be alive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear. We are all here together. So just a few ground rules before we get started. I don't even need the mic, but it's cool, you know, for the photos. One, like our last speaker said, I like to keep things active and interactive, shows you're listening, shows I'm talking to actual humans. And number two, please take something out to take notes, right? Because there's going to be some great stuff that I have to share with you guys. And three, let's remember that this space right here, these four walls, is a safe space, and this is a productive environment. I think that this conversation of emotional intelligence is very important and crucial for us as millennials, because we're all millennials, except for the person who was born in 1980. not shout you out like that. I'm a millennial as well. We're all probably the same age right here. But it's a very crucial conversation that we have to have, because I feel we are being judged for being who we want to be, and so we choose not to be that person because we're scared of how people are going to respond to us, right? And that's kind of scary. I would like for you to stand up. That's a drum roll. Well, no, wait, not yet. Oh my gosh, you guys are so responsive. I would like you to stand up if you are a leader. Stand up if you think you're a leader. Let me see those long bodies vertically. Great. Now keep standing. And now I just want you to shout out words or reasons why you think you're a leader. I can hear you, so just shout it out at the same time. Why? Why do you think you're a leader? What are the characteristics? Determination. Persistence. What about my right side? Courage. Transformation.
Integrity.
What?
Integrity.
Integrity. So important.
Responsibility.
Come on. Anything? Pardon. Exactly. You can all sit down now. Leaders, the future leaders of the Bahamas. Actually, you all should be leaders right now. Now, raise your hand if you know what emotional intelligence is. Emotional intelligence, just a quick overview. So it was created by two professors by the name of Peter Salovey and John Mayer in 1990, but it became famous by David Goldman in 1996 through his book, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Matters More Than the IQ. Their definition is the ability to process one's own emotions and others' emotions, to use that same information as a guide for thinking and behavior. They came up with 4 different levels of emotional intelligence, which is, what's number 1?
Receiving emotion.
2.
Reasoning with emotion.
3.
Understanding emotion.
And 4.
Managing emotion.
Excellent. So for example, he's bored because you're doing your eyes like that, right? You're bored, and so that's me using emotional, I'm perceiving that emotion that you're bored. I don't know if it's because of my voice or me walking up and down. I don't know why that is, but it's offensive. Thank you. Sorry, just kidding. But, so that would be number 1, perceiving emotion. That is when you're nonverbal. So if you're nonverbal, what are you looking at? You're looking at body image. Body language. Body language. We're looking at facial expressions, right? And so we are going to be solving 2 questions to use emotional intelligence to inform us to be effective leaders. Question number 1 is, how do we be the leaders we are created to be when we struggle with deviating from the norm? Okay, that's question number 1. Exactly. So what's the next number?
2.
Hey, question number 2. As leaders, how do we create safe spaces and productive environments, right? A big part of effective leadership is with discovering and executing what our purpose or calling is. So why were we created on this earth? These are our 3 solutions to these questions. If I were you, I'd write this down. So number 1, knowing our purpose, our calling, the reason for being, right? We are all created by the Creator, God, right? So He created us to create, and for us to create for others, correct? So that is purpose. That is calling, correct? Yes? Sorry, I'm not looking on my right side. Hello, beautiful person in the back with the red jacket. I see you. Know that I see you. Yeah? Excellent. That's number 1. Knowing your purpose is how you become an effective leader. Number 2, you have to deviate from the norm in order to figure out what that purpose is. So a little bit about what all the speakers spoke about. They said pivot. They used words that's pivot, but in my head I was just like, no, deviate. You have to deviate from the norm. For example, let's just say that you want to become a business person, right? And everyone's telling you to go through school to become an entrepreneur, but something inside you is telling you, no, I need to go travel to Africa and like take an internship there and do it that way. Society is not going to tell you to travel to Africa. Society is going to tell you to go through school and do it that way. But there's something inside of you that is saying, oh, but I must go to Africa and take that internship and learn that way. Well, that is deviating from the norm. And whatever you experience in Africa, using the example, that experimentation, that experience is the process of figuring out what your purpose is. Does that make sense? Excellent. And number 3, typo. I promise I know how to count. Number 3 is changing your beliefs about yourself. We all have this self-talk. And I think all of our self-talk is more negative than it is positive. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, or y'all are superhumans where you're always positive? Are you a superhuman? Okay, so I'm right? It's more negative than positive. And so the narrative that we tell ourselves is different from the narrative that people see of us. So the narrative that I tell myself is, I gotta be successful, I gotta do this, I'm not doing enough, I gotta help more. Because I'm a social media influencer, I post everything. The narrative that people tell me is, Bichon, you're doing so much, continue it, you're helping the people, you're helping our nation, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, no, that's not happening, I didn't do any of that. But that, and that's the mind playing with you. And then when you realize that shift, that's also emotional intelligence, right? Because then you're like managing your emotions, you're realizing what you're telling yourself. That's self-awareness, guys. That's self-awareness. And as a leader, that's crucial. That's so crucial. I found a psychologist by the name of Albert Ellis who uses the approach of cognitive theory to help us to stop making ourselves miserable. And so he has a concept called the ABC, right? So A stands for activating event, B stands for belief, and C stands for consequence. So we're going to put an example in it, right? So y'all understand what I'm talking about. Because I hate math. Someone else in here said they hated math. We're going to fill it in, okay? So A, what is A again? What does that stand for? A. Yay! Activating event, okay? So the activating event that we use for our example is a friend turns you down for dinner. So that's the event, right? Now you're like, stuff is happening in your mind and your body, you're like, oh shoot. Plus B, which is belief. You believe no one likes you. That's the belief, right? And then equals C, consequence. Now these are emotions coming. Now you're feeling emotions of sadness, depression, rejection, disappointment, right? Because of the ABC model. But how do we change the consequence? How do we change that? You change it by the belief. So with our example, being turned down by dinner, that's the activating event. The belief, instead of believing no one likes me, we can believe maybe they're busy. Maybe they're busy. But we always want to go for the negative thoughts, that negative thought. And so we just have to practice to use the positive side, right? To change the belief. So remember the ABC model, you guys. When something negative happens to you, you got an F on your paper, that really sucks. That sucks. But your belief is like, I suck, I'm not going to graduate, blah, blah, blah. But maybe your belief could be, did I study enough? I don't know. That's up to you guys. Only you can answer that. Use that in your day-to-day life and use that as a leader when you're faced with employees, if you have a nonprofit, members, right? So use that for their lives. Question number 2. Do you guys remember it? Do you remember question 2? Okay, my feelings are being hurt now. Yeah, something about that. Is that why you're in the front row? Look at you. As leaders, how do we create safe spaces and productive environments? Before we answer that question, raise your hand if you have been invited to a safe space or a productive environment. Yeah, we have 2. Okay, let's fight for it. I'm just kidding. Okay, you go first. And it could be anything. Church, school, home, school.
I was going to say church.
Yeah.
You invite me to that churches or, other events that the church might have unrelated to Sunday service.
And that to you is like a safe space where you can be yourself, you can share your 2 cents, all of that. Excellent. My lady. Dungeon. Oh, video games.
Yeah.
No.
Not video, but.
Oh. But okay, a game, right? So the community there is a game, and you feel safe to express yourself. You know, be who you are, speak your piece. Yeah. And so, how did you two feel? How did that make you feel?
Comfortable.
Yeah. Any others? Don't make me do my emotional dance. Y'all ain't ready for it.
That's stress-free, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Dancing is freedom. Okay, but yeah, comfortable. You feel comfortable. You feel belonged, man. You feel like, you know, you're respected, right? All these feelings, and yeah? Excellent. Again, we have 3 points because 3 is a magic number. After we believe that each of us are different, we are all created for a reason. We need to deviate from the norm to find that reason through the process of emotional intelligence. Then you are in a much higher place of regulating your emotions and becoming the leader your community needs to solve problems. So let's look at number 1, listening. As Bahamians, we row. We speak over each other, and that's just culture, that's totally fine. But like in a safe space when we're trying to like really hear people out, it's hard to listen because everybody's speaking at the same time. And when there's a problem, like for example the hurricane, like everyone has their 2 cents. Again, everyone's speaking at the same time, or you're just gossiping, sharing like nonsense. And so it's like it's just a lot going on. But what we need to do as the next generation, the future leaders of the Bahamas, is we need to practice listening to ourselves and to each other. To ourselves and to each other. Because guess what you're going to find? You're going to find ideas, you're going to find solutions that you never would have found if you didn't close your mouth and let them speak. So, number 2, remove the blame and accept responsibility. Guys, that helps nobody. Indulging self-pity helps nobody. So just stop it. Leave it at the door when you leave this room. No more blaming yourself. This is a problem, just try and find the ways to fix that problem. 3, finding the potential in others. Guys, when you start finding the potential in others, that is when you become leadership material. So I don't know about all the speakers here, but when you start to have a conversation with somebody and you're just meeting them, and then that leads to a few more conversations, so you're getting to know them a bit more. Then you're like, oh my goodness, this person's good at this person, oh, I need to put you into this group, and I can put you in this group. You know, you just have like this 6th sense of, whoa, this person is excellent at this. I need to help this person get more excellent at this. You know what I mean? So that's what's finding the potential of others, helping people find that potential and putting them in the places or spaces they need to be in order for that potential to grow. So that's how we, we shape our leaders. We shared in my bio, but that's exactly what I did. So I wasn't called up here for no big reason. but when I was 12 years old, God told me his purpose, which is to lead the youth, and I started a nonprofit organization. And through that, literally what I realized I was doing was just finding young people who are passionate about a certain social injustice in our society, and then creating a system to help them make a difference in that area that they're passionate about making a difference in. Boom, bam. I don't know if any of you guys heard of IOT. It's our turn, but you have friends at UB who are in it. And even to this day, I just get random IOTers, is what we used to call ourselves, and say, Beijing, thank you so much for making that group, because right now, like, everything I learned from that group, I'm using in this new thing that I'm doing, and it was just incredible and great for my development, blah, blah. I was like, yes, that's what we're supposed to be doing. I no longer run it just because it's time, it's time to move on. That was a safe space, that was a productive environment that I created for my fellow youth, as a youth, for us to make a change in Bahamian society. And if you want to learn more about what it means to wake up and deviate from the norm, to be a leader, to find out who you are, those are the books that I wrote on Amazon, and I have a link at the bottom. Again, if you get this presentation, you can just access the Amazon link there and read yourself up a storm, okay? And I didn't put this in the presentation, but if you would like to have coffee with me or follow my journey, again, like I'm a social media influencer, you can find me Beijing, like China, Beijing.Rodgers on Instagram, or Beijing Rodgers on YouTube, because I'm a YouTuber. And that's it. Thank you for listening. Woo!